All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This time with JalBagel doing some Monster Hunter World. I'm going to pass it over to you guys. Whenever you're ready, give us those introductions and a countdown to start the run, and best of luck.
Of course. Yeah, thank you so much. My name is JalBagel. I'm joined by my amazing commentator and a very good friend, best friend even, Green Speed. Green, say hi to the people.
Hello there.
And this is Monster Hunter World. We're just going to keep it simple because my brain isn't working right now. We're going to need every brain cell for the speed run. So let's just jump right into it, and we'll talk about the game as we go. There's a lot of, there's a little bit of downtime in this game. We do get to skip cutscenes now. We have a mod to do that, which is great. Best money I ever spent, honestly. But we'll go ahead and get ready with this. If you want to give me a 3, 2, 1, go. Uh-oh, where'd Sham go? Green, you want to give me, who's ready on that time?
I don't know. Sham is back in waiting room.
Sham, come back. Sham's back.
Hey, I mean, like, if you want me to count you in, all the power to you.
No, yeah. If you want to give me a countdown just so you can get it started at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, and we're off. So, if you guys are not familiar with Monster Hunter games, they're exactly what they sound like. Monster hunting. It's a real complex, real insane, out-of-the-box kind of game concept, but we're going to go through it real fast. But like the name suggests, we go out into this world and we hunt big monsters. We take their parts, turn them into armor and weapons, and then hunt even bigger monsters. It's a real action RPG, action-adventure RPG. It's one of my absolute favorite games. The complexity in the game comes from the combat system, the fact that there are 14 different weapons designed within that combat system, and a plethora of behind-the-scenes kind of hidden values that affect how monsters operate. You have monsters' own AI, AI of other monsters in the area, small monsters affecting that, AI. You have the different areas can affect the monsters and how they act. This game gets really complex really quick. Like I mentioned earlier, there are 14 different, or a second ago, there are 14 different weapons in the game. We're going to be using 2 of them in this run. And the run that is going to be showcased today is the current, or very close to it, world record route that's held by Greenspeed. I'm closing the gap quickly. Get ready, Green.
I'm scared.
You're going to have to beat my time again. But yeah, what we're going to be using, if you're familiar with the game, is a weapon called Switch Axe to start out with, and then towards the very end of the game, for the last 5 hunts, we're going to be using Sword and Shield. But this is where this game is absolutely blessed now. We have this amazing cutscene skip mod. There is 1 hour and 3 minutes of unskippable cutscenes from the time that we started the new file to the time that we will stop time. And now, with this mod, we can skip them. Story in this game, too, is kind of lackluster. It's really straightforward. Creature appears, is threatening the area, or is doing something that we don't want it to, so we're going to go and stop it. So, for the most part, we won't be really talking about the story. But, that's the gist of it. Is there anything I'm forgetting, Green?
I don't think so.
Addons category, we can talk about that really quick. So the category that we are doing is called with add-ons. Add-ons refers to a subset of items and item packs that can be redeemed at the beginning of the game that were not released when the game first came out. It was actually released when the DLC was coming out, and in the intent of these redemptions, these add-ons, was to make new players be able to more or less speedrun their way through the base game experience, which is what we're going to be doing today. There is actually more game after what I'm going to be doing, but that's Shara percent, Iceborne. It's a lot longer, like twice as long. And we won't be doing that, even though I would love to. No, but we'll stick with Xeno today, which is about 2 hours and 50 minutes real time, and that is a very, not conservative time. So we're going to be really trying to meet that. So I'm just doing some menuing and some options here, just setting up the game in the way that I like, but one of the more notable things that I changed there was changing from auto save to manual save. With my save times, manual save saves about 40 seconds, you said, Green?
45.
45 seconds. It's big.
Yes.
It's just free time save.
Yep, there are 31 autosaves that are affected by switching to manual save. There are unfortunately 3 required autosaves, even with the setting turned on, but those 31 add up.
What's even funnier about autosave is that it's a different input. At the very end of each of these quests, we'll be mashing X, and then the very last input needs to be a circle. So it, denies the autosave.
Yep.
Just waiting for an audio cue here. But Monster Hunter games, if you aren't familiar with them, are hub-based games. We are about to enter the first hub, which is called Astera. We're going to do a lot of things in Astera until we unlock the second hub, which is called the Research Base. But the hubs, they have areas for us to change our equipment, a smithy to upgrade our equipment, provisions and stockpile managers to buy new items. There's a lot of different utilities and different tools inside of, Astera, and we will be using all of those to progress through the game. Some of the cutscene skips are going to look a little jarring. Remember, these aren't intentional, so I apologize for that in advance. Most of them are really nice, though, and fade out.
So you may notice we're not actually playing the game with English voice acting. You may also notice this isn't any language that you may know of. This is actually the Monster Hunter language. It's a weird amalgamation of like Japanese translated to French, translated back to Japanese, which basically turns it into gibberish. The nice thing about that gibberish is it has very short sentences. And there are sections in this game where text on screen isn't cleared by input, it's cleared by the length of the dialogue. So we use the Monster Hunter language to our advantage to save about 40 seconds over the course of the run.
So this little section right here, we call Mercer Skip. The character behind me in English is voice acted by Matt Mercer. And these are there's 2 of these sequences where you're forced to do this like little walking sequence. As long as you're within the radius of the NPC, you're forced to walk here. So we try to put ourselves, in front of the NPC as far as possible. We can actually get outside of this walk radius and start running again, and we're going to do that right after this cutscene, which is unskippable. We're going to do it right after this cutscene to run past Matt Mercer, to run past Field Team Leader. That's his in-universe name. Just call him Matt. But we're going to use this twice throughout the run, and actually saves a considerable amount of time each of them. I believe this one was like 15 or 20 seconds.
I have no clue on this one.
Yeah, I believe this one was about 15 seconds, and then we're going to do it again later towards the end of the run, which will save another 20-ish seconds. So this is one of those council meeting sections that Green was talking about. There are some text boxes here that you can see that are not passed. They aren't skipped. They don't get a prompt. They have to wait for the voice acting dialogue to actually end. Text mashing, though, in this game too is kind of unique. It's an input to to complete the text on screen, and then it's an input to clear it. So we can stagger a X and circle input at the same time, just slightly staggered each, to create a 2 inputs about a frame apart, so we can get the fastest text clear possible. It's a nice little cadence and rhythm to get to it. Just mashing mindlessly overwrites inputs and doesn't do anything. So we kind of got to get this cadence right to clear those things kind of quickly. But this is our bedroom. Oh, yeah. I'm just really quick. This is our bedroom. I'm going to be equipping our weapon that we're going to use here now. Green, should I do the marathon safe thing and do the add-ons redemptions? so I don't have to worry about bones and iron, or do we YOLO it? We go for it, right?
Yeah, because you can grab these later if you miss it.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so there's not much RNG. The nice thing about add-ons is that it gives us a weapon to use, which only takes 1 material to upgrade 4 times, and then we get the strongest weapon in the game. And it gives us a set of armor to use, which is the blue armor that we're already wearing now. The nice thing about that is that it takes out all of the necessity to farm, except for 2 pieces of equipment and 1 camp that we want to unlock. In total, we'll want to get 1 Anjanath pelt and 2 large bones, 7 iron ore for my route, 2 small bones, and 1 ancient bone. That's all the RNG that we need, and it's, I would say, about 80%, probably closer to 90%. You know, that we get it. On the off chance that we don't, we do have a route that doesn't use the camp, which we call Camp 17. So we call that Route 17less. And there are backups to the iron ore and the bones in add-ons, which is really nice. But it does lose about 25 seconds to go and redeem them. So we try not to do that. Because all the other gathering that we're going to do is going to be done in quest, you know, when we are going to be standing there doing nothing anyways.
Yep.
So this is the first quest, Joggers of the Ancient Forest. It's a small monster quest. What we're going to do is use these slinger ammo that I just picked up called the Torch Pod to create little fires on the ground. After you slay 2 of the Joggers in this area, the rest of them try to transition into this cave. Oh my gosh, let me get behind you. Alright, good. So now that 2 of those are slayed, the rest of them are going to try to run in here, and they're going to run into these little fires, and that's going to damage them. I just need to slay 1 more of these Joggers. Unlucky. It's a little slow here. I'll just finish it off. My torch pod placement wasn't great.
Mm-hmm. You may notice this 60-second timer on top of the screen. This is a quest end timer. When you finish a quest, the game wants you to carve the monster you just killed, or in this case, the small monsters we just killed, to get materials. We don't need those materials, so these timers are kind of useless to us. We do have a way to shorten them, though. A quest can be ended in 2 ways, killing the monster or capturing the monster. Killing the monster is exactly what it sounds like. You reduce its HP to 0, it dies. The game gives you a 60-second end timer so you can carve it for parts. However, if you have a trap and an item called Trank Bombs, you only need to lower the monster's health down to 30%, and then you can capture it, which ends the quest and saves us the time of hunting that last 30% of its health. And because you can't carve a captured monster, you don't need to stay in the quest as long, so it shortens the end timer down to 20 seconds. So that's a guaranteed 40-second time save on every quest we capture a monster for.
So all of the movement that I just did here was to set us up to be able to capture the first monster of the game. 2 iron ore, 1 ancient bone, we're good. So I have my ancient bone now. I just need small monster bones, which are very, very common. I didn't see if I got any there. I don't think I did, and if I did, I got 1 maybe. And then we got 2 iron ore in that process too. Just need to buy 1 piece of equipment here, a trap tool. Does exactly what it does. It's a tool to make a trap. And we're going to go to the smithy. We haven't gotten our add-ons weapon yet. They're called defender weapons, but we're about to get it now. So the game here, the smithy gives me 2 iron ore to upgrade a piece of armor, but instead we're going to use that iron ore to craft our defender weapon. Defender weapon only takes 1 iron ore to craft, which is super convenient. They really did just make this so people could get in the game, experience it, and get out of the game as fast as possible. And that's fine. I enjoy that, and it makes this speedrun a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And much more consistent.
Much more consistent. The no add-ons category, which still does exist, it's just not very popular, because you can speedrun that game for 3 hours, be at the very end of the game, and then lose the run because you just didn't get the RNG that you needed. You don't have guaranteed weapon upgrades, you don't have guaranteed armor upgrades. It's a very sketchy run. It's a lot of fun to do. I've actually done it at marathons a couple of times because I have some marathon safe strategies that I implement, and also the brain to unga bunga through it. So this is our next quest. It's another small monster quest, but it leads into a large monster quest. This is called Kestodon Kerfuffle. It's a great quest name. Best quest name in the entire game. But we're going to slay 7 Kestodon here. 8 Kestodon here, and then a Great Jagras immediately after this. Ooh, bad AI. Like, really bad AI. Please explode.
There it is. So you may notice that small explosion there? That's another aspect we like to the Defender weapons outside of their just high attack stat. They have a status on them called Blast. There's a lot of complicated stuff that goes into it. Effectively, what you need to know is there's a roughly 1 in 3 chance of getting a explosion that deals a lot of damage when you attack the monster.
Yep, that damage is really nice. It's unaffected by the resistance of the part that you hit. It deals flat damage. It deals a large amount of part break damage, which we can use to our advantage. But it's almost entirely random.
Very nice grouping RNG here.
I just need a blast proc to actually capitalize on it. There we go. The blast procs will instantly kill these Kestodons, so getting good blast proc RNG is great. And when they group up, it keeps our amp state on our switch axe, which is just a mechanic of it. You know, it keeps that high and keeps it active. The file mechanic, which is the amp state of the switch axe, allows us to do 2 things. 1, deal additional damage with our sword attacks. It will up to 3 times proc a small explosion. That explosion, the number that you get is dependent on the number of models that the weapon passes through. So when you get a bunch of small monsters grouped together, you get big numbers really quick. The other mechanic that allows us to do is zero-sum discharge, or ZSD. I'm not going to explain that at all. I'm just going to tell you when I do it, and you'll see why we're going to do it a bunch. But this is Great Jagras. We're just going to go... We aren't going to go immediately to the fight. We're going to go a little bit out of our way to gather some materials. It's the last materials that we need to capture it, which is also perfectly fine because we're also waiting for it to... we're also waiting for it to be in a specific spot in the next area that it's going to. Because we're going to drop a environmental trap on it. Environmental traps do 5% of the monster's total health. It's always 5%. So if the monster has, 100 health, it does 5. But if it has 10,000 health, it does 500, right? Like, it's big. And we want to make sure that we hit that because it also creates a really long knockdown, which we're going to use to our advantage. So I'm going to focus on this, and Green, you can talk about it.
Yep. So he very specifically waited to shoot that ammo because he got here actually under the rock, and that rock does not respawn. So if you miss it, this gets awkward. So this is a very specific combo. It's the combo that gets us to our amp state the fastest. So that was a grounded ZSD, and this is a proper ZSD. There we go. Monster is captured.
I didn't get a blast proc, which would have made it captured instantly. But pretty much what happens there is that we drop the rock on it, which creates a environmental knockdown. That knockdown has a higher priority than the trap that we put underneath it. So the environmental knockdown is going to end, the monster's going to stand back up, and then fall back into the trap. We threw down 2 trank bombs beforehand. You need to use 2 trank bombs, and the monster needs to be under 30% health and in a trap. All 3 of those things for you to be able to capture it. I got my small bones. I got another ancient bone, so we're good on bones. Just need iron ore for the rest of this run. So we did all of those things beforehand while the monster was still at 100% health, and then used the Switch Axe's zero-sum discharge, ZSD, to get the monster down to 30. You can see how fast that is, and it's just because this weapon is, like, these weapons, the Defender weapons, and Switch Axe in general, are just really good at tearing out, all the monster's health. The attack zero-sum discharge, you saw me attach myself to the monster and then begin to use the attack. That allows us to more or less target that part that we attach to. And for most monsters, we can put, like, their head is their weak zone, and we can put ourselves right on top of their head and deal the most damage to them very quickly that way. And you'll see that we're going to use that quite often throughout this run to chain together different kind of controls, different types of like CC, crowd control. Is kind of the best way that I can explain it. But there are things like knockdowns, trips, staggers, and claw staggers, or that we call them claggers, which could be the most common one. We're going to use all of those things to more or less make the monsters not fight us. It's going to look really easy. It's all about precise timing, though. These are like the closest thing that this game has to frame perfect tricks, because we have to make sure our damage is dealt when that animation for that type of control ends. We're meeting specific behind the scenes background thresholds, right? Let's say like 300 damage to meet the conditions for that status. So when we deal 300 damage to a monster's head, we get a clagger, is the simplified way to put that. If we deal that 300 damage while that monster is in the clagger still, though, we don't get the next one, and it resets. So we have to more or less wait for the animations to end and be very precise with it. Luckily enough, Switch Axe is really easy to time with that stuff, and the weapon that we're going to use later, Sword and Shield, has a attack that also kind of spaces that out really, really well. So this is the next large monster. This is Kuliaku. This quest is a little bit different. We actually went on an expedition instead of on an actual assigned quest. So that means there's no end timer. So when we capture the monster, we're just going to instantly leave. But Kuliaku is really interesting in that its AI is stupid. We're going to flash it here, and it's going to stand perfectly still. Uh-oh. Why are you here?
Oh.
All right.
Huh.
Well, good luck. He's not supposed to be here. I might get lucky and he'll just de-aggro.
So you may notice these two red rocks on the ground. Those are important later on in the run. Those actually tell us what the monster's health is at. If a monster has dropped 2 of those red rocks, with the exception of one monster, which we'll talk about later, they are ready for capture. Early on, though, we don't actually need those rocks because we know exactly how many ZSDs we need to do to capture the monster.
That big purple angry dinosaur, yeah, Barney over there, should not have been there. I've done this run probably 40 times this year and have not seen him there a single time this year. I only saw him once there last year. It just never happens. But expeditions are a little weird. They have some random elements of RNG, mostly spawn RNG for the random roamers that are in the map. And I mean, that was just an instance of that. But we got really lucky. That script starts out with a flash pod, which puts the monsters in a state that makes them unaware to us, but it does make their AI a little random, exception being Kuliaku, who just stands there and does nothing. So this is Pookie Pookie. This fight is actually a little bit better of a example of what a full script on a monster looks like. We're going to chain claw staggers, claggers, which we're going to call them, just over and over again. It puts a monster into a drooling animation, which is designed for us to use our clutch claw tool to grab onto them. The animation lasts 6 seconds, and then when we hit them with the clutch claw, it lasts another 6 seconds. All right, no Anjanath, you're good.
So this is a type of control called a wall bang. If a monster is in an unenraged state and you have slinger ammo, you can unload all of your slinger ammo into its head and send it flying forward. If it hits a wall while flying forward, it will take 2% of its total health and get put into that knockdown. That knockdown happens to be the exact length of time we need to build up our amp state and start a ZSD. In addition, the wallbang enrages the monster, which will cause it to roar. ZSD has a status on it called earplugs, which allows us to ignore monster roars for most of the game. there are a few higher tier monsters that we can't ignore.
All right,
But
more or less perfect.
yeah. So you may have noticed after Bagel grabbed each of those claggers, he wasn't actually starting his ZSD immediately. That's because, like we mentioned, grabbing the clagger makes it last 6 more seconds. ZSD lasts about 4, so we need to delay starting our ZSD by 2 seconds in order for it to end after the clagger is ended.
Oh, I want that. I had 2. So that's 4 iron ore total.
You say almost perfect. That was a flawless time.
Oh. Yeah, it was almost perfect.
Oh, boy.
All right. This is the best kind of quest. That's what Capcom calls it, at least, and they're wrong. So this is the worst kind of quest for a lot of different reasons. First and foremost, you know that really cool mod that we have that lets us skip 1 hour and 3 minutes of cutscenes in the game? Yeah, not this one. So when we first commissioned the cutscene skip mod, we were skipping this cutscene too, and then we would get to this point, skip this cutscene, and then this quest would softlock. Modders don't know why, runners don't know why, so what's the solution? Just make it unskippable. Alright, I guess. So this is our one unskippable cutscene in the entire game. The other reason why it's the worst kind of quest is that it's an escort mission. They knew, man. They absolutely knew. The nice thing, though, about this kind of escort mission is that we don't have to be with the cart 100% of the time. Instead, there's three points that we have to be at the cart for. They're just like little checkpoints, and so as long as we're next to the cart, when the cart's there, they progress as fast as possible. So in the interim, we're just going to do about 70% of all the gathering that we need in the speed run now.
Yep. And right here, Bagel's doing some specific management. He's first off arranging his item box so that the trap tools are the first item in there, which will later on allow him to restock in 3 inputs anytime he needs. He also did 2 important things here. He left the Palico behind, which is our little companion, and he ate a meal. Eating a meal gives us an attack boost, and we actually won't be eating for a lot of these quests because we don't need the attack boost for most of them. But since this quest is an auto-scroller anyways, there's no reason not to take the free attack boost. And then for the cat does deal some damage, but it's not really noticeable, and it adds an extra variable to our quests because the monster can target the cat or us with its attacks, and if it targets the cat, we don't know where it's going to go. So we want our hunter to be the only possible target so we can predict what the monster is going to do.
Taking out that that extra level of RNG with the Palico is really nice, but another sense that the Palico does for us, it gathers extra materials, which in this kind of a run we don't need, and it can also heal us. It has a tool that it does like a little AoE burst heal, so if we get ourselves into a hairy situation, it could do that. Once again, it's not something that we need, because if we die in this game, we die spectacularly and with flair, which is to say in a single hit. Getting hit in this game, especially towards the end, is either you live or you don't. So it really doesn't matter. Just going for more iron ore RNG. It looks like I need 1 more. So I had 4, 5, 6. Yep, there we go. Perfect. That is great iron ore RNG. We're coming up to our first like little checkpoint. And of course, if anyone has any questions in chat, I do have it open. Green and I both have chat open. Feel free to ask questions. We talk and ramble about this game. But if you guys have anything in specific that you're wondering about, by all means, please ask. All right, so that's our first little checkpoint. The next one comes up really quick, and we want to do some extra gathering here. Like I said, we get like 70% of what we need here, and it's insane. We get a plethora of flash pods and trank materials. We get as much ivy as we're gonna need in the game. We get a lot of things. But the Ivy helps us make pitfall traps, and Thunderbugs help us make shock traps. They have different applications. They last a little bit, different durations. Pitfall traps take longer to put down, and they last like a little bit longer too, don't they?
Yeah, about 4 seconds longer.
Yeah, we get like an extra flail out of it. The only problem with the pitfall trap though is that the monsters, like midsection down is underground. So it exposes the head really well. And we will use them for some openers and some mid-fight scripts. The shock traps are what we're going to primarily use, though, to capture monsters. They can be placed really quickly, and Thunderbugs are in abundance in this game. So that's kind of the difference between those two. And you'll really see it in this quest, because we use one here. Man, the game is just like every input, it wants to eat it.
Delicious.
Yeah, it loves inputs. I think I need to grab one more fire herb here too. Those are going to be used to make gunpowder and barrel bombs, which we use just as extra free damage. Explosions like barrel bombs, they deal, unaspected, just completely raw damage to monster parts. And I am going to grab the God Bugs, but not for Kushala. I'm going to do it for Valhazak.
Yeah.
Because I've been getting consistent sub-6s with Valhazak using the Demon Powder.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. My past 3 Valhazaks have been sub-6 using it.
Huh.
Green pulls out the stopwatch and the notepad. Free time save. Though what's really funny is that 504 that I got... That wasn't with the Demon Powder.
Yeah. Val is just a weird fight.
Yep, and we'll definitely talk about it more later when we get to it. It's the second to last fight in the game, and we're already talking about it. But the last bit of this is getting to the last checkpoint that we need to be at, which is going to be right before our monster too. And we're just getting the last couple of tools that we need for this hunt and subsequent hunts.
Yep. This hunt is actually unique in that it is the only hunt where the cutscene to spawn the monster isn't exclusively triggered by our position. It's triggered by a combination of our position and the cart's position. So we can actually place a pitfall trap exactly where the monster is going to spawn, so it'll start the fight in the pitfall trap.
This is also the only quest in this speedrun that's like this, so we can't really take advantage of that too much. Another fight that we will take advantage of that similar, knowing where the monster's going to spawn is Tobikadachi, which we're going to put a shock trap next to where it spawns and then pray we get good RNG. Because it can either immediately step into the trap and we can start our opener, or it can jump into a tree and be rude the entire time, and then we don't get to do anything.
Yep. Right here, we're just waiting for the cart, so clearing some things we don't need out of our inventory.
Now that cart, when it gets to about right there. Yeah, right there. Oh wait, what am I doing?
Your shock trap.
That was my shock trap. That's gonna be a problem. Is it still there? All right, it is still there. All right. I thought it was on my. It was right next to it, wasn't it? All right. You know what? We got this. You guys ready to see gamer mode? Ooh, good.
Good Clagger.
Huh? Okay, got it. 1, 2. Come on. Stop doing that. Come here. Stop doing that. Come here.
Nice.
All right. So I was not supposed to put down that shock trap that early, and I was lucky that I put it where I did. I was actually trying to use a Might Seed. They're right next to each other, and I didn't realize I moved it, and I wasn't paying attention. But that's actually not terrible, other than the mud AI, like the shaking AI that I got there towards the end. 2 ZSDs followed by some hits with the sword mode is usually cap ready, but it does take some blast proc RNG, which luckily we got.
Yep.
We'll slow there.
Now that we
out that menu.
Now that we have all the iron ore and bones we need, we're actually going to be selling any quest rewards that don't give us a weapon upgrade. 2 reasons for that. 1, it lets us do some quicker movement later on to buy an item we need, and 2, it's actually 1 input faster than taking all the items.
You ever see a speedrunner try to sabotage themselves during a marathon? Oh darn, marathon luck. Actual self-sabotage. Alright, so this is Juratotus, aka Stinky Fish, aka my least favorite fight in the entire game. Its opener is inconsistent. Its fight is awful because it takes place in water. He has a blight that he can inflict called Water Blight. I don't like this fight, man. It either goes well or it doesn't, and the majority of mine recently have been not going well. This is my last big time save, actually, in the first part of the game, where I still have a 10 to 20 second time save, because I just haven't been able to get a clean one of these in a while, and yet still beat world record for the first part of the game.
By 2 seconds.
That's all you need.
Yup.
Alright, got the opener.
Good AI.
Unfortunately, the opener always gives you Blast Blight, which makes you use more stamina, and it replenishes slower. So we really have to kind of like watch it. I'm gonna be quiet.
So because he did hit the monster twice... Oh.
Missed it. It's okay, we still get the jump. I can do a KO here instead.
Yep. So you may have noticed, the monster already dropped its first health pod. This monster does not follow the 2-pod rule. This monster is... Yeah. Rather than being capture ready when it drops 2 pods, it is capture ready a little after it drops 3 pods. So there's that second pod. And you may have noticed Bagel actually picked up and used one of the pods. It's an item called a Thorn Pod. When you stick a Thorn Pod on a monster's head and hit it, it deals KO damage. And if you deal enough KO damage, the monster will fall over. There's that third pod.
Honestly, for as scuffed as that was, worked out.
Yeah, there it didn't move.
Huh, maybe that's the strat. We don't get the ZSD on the opener and we instead KO. That's the cool thing about this speedrun too, is that really only in the past year did we really start to optimize it. We started getting a lot more people interested in speedrunning this game. And when I say a lot more, you know, I mean only like a handful still. Like we have 6 active runners, 5 active runners, 4 active runners right now. But there was a time where we had, you know, like 5 or 6, where previously we only had like 2 or 3. And just getting, you know, a new set of eyes on the run and just like a new thinking, a new mentality really changed this game and how we approached it and how we thought about the speedrun. So it's been a really cool change. You know, previously thinking that a sub 4-hour time was really good. Whoops. And then now a sub 3 hours is really good.
Yeah, that is due to cutscene skip, but even taking out cutscene skip, the world record is now over 10 minutes faster than a run that at the time we thought would be unbeatable.
All right, Tobi Karachi. Hello? Hitting the wrong buttons again. Don't mind me. This is why you shouldn't run 2 Monster Hunter games at the same time.
Yeah.
All of my muscle memory is broken. I was doing some movement for Monster Hunter Rise there instead of World. Don't mind me. My brain is just broken.
Yo.
Alright, so Tobi-Kadachi, like we said earlier, we're going to start this with a shock trap, and then we'll use a second one later to capture it once it's cap ready. If we get a good AI and a good opener, this will go by very, very quickly, which is really nice. If we get a bad opener and bad AI, he's going to jump around in the trees constantly. I'm not going to get any control against him, and it's going to take forever to get the first pod drop. He drops Pierce Pods, which can be used in a Slinger Burst to do a lot of damage, so we're going to try to get that dropped as fast as possible.
Yep. Unfortunately, this shock trap is as close to the cutscene trigger as we can place it, and as you will see, it's just not quite close enough.
And he walked the wrong way.
So unlike all the other monsters we've fought, Tobi-Kadachi's best hit zone is actually its tail rather than the head. Which is not great for two reasons. One, being near the tail baits a lot of attacks we don't like. And two, its tail is very close to the hind legs, which can cause our ZSD finisher to clip into the hind legs, dealing a lot less damage.
1, 2. Yeah. Tree AI. There's that bad attack that Green was talking about. I have first pod, but I haven't had an opportunity to go pick it up yet. Ooh, good part break. We're gonna grab
Good
this.
topple. So the reason we like this type of pod, which is called a piercing pod, is because it lets us, we can use it with this, oh.
It's dead.
Well, it died beforehand, but Switch Axe and a lot of weapons actually have an attack called a Slinger Burst, which lets you use your Slinger ammo in a more powerful way. The Slinger Burst wasn't introduced until the Iceborne expansion to this game, which added a brand new rank beyond what we're ever going to do in this run. The thing about Slinger Burst and Pierce Pod in particular is that it is independent of your attack stat, and it is scaled for that new master rank. So in low and high rank, it's incredibly powerful, and any monster that drops piercing pods will actually just pick up its first pod, Slinger Burst it 3 times, and it's almost always capture ready after that.
If you hit a good hit zone, as
Yes.
Oda Garen will prove me wrong time and time again. Oh, you hit my leg instead of my head? LOL, I'm not cap ready now. Oh, that was your only extra trap? Sad for you. Alright, so the next monster is a full script. This fight is really, really cool. This is Anjanath. We get to actually do this twice in a run, which is even funnier. But it's a full script. We're just going to chain claggers together and then drop a big rock on them. I'm just going to kind of, be quiet and do this. Actually on a really good pace right now, too. Haven't had, like, any big hiccups in before.
So right away, we're going to grab this Slinger ammo that's in the camp, which we will be using later in the script to lure it under that big rock we dropped on Great Jagras. And then we are going to hover a Pitfall Trap to place right at the beginning to let us get into our ZSD chain. Got good starting AI.
It's unfortunate. Give me a roar, please. This is fine. Alright, we recovered that.
So one very important thing that happened there is that the Clagger did not occur from a blast proc. That can happen due to RNG. If that happens, the next ZSD won't actually trigger a Clagger. It'll put it 1 hit away from a Clagger.
Too much. I should be okay, though. Alright, good.
doing a very specific attack to get our gauge back, and now we are using an item called the Gilly Mantle, which places us into stealth. So if we shoot the monster, it'll walk towards wherever what shot it came from. Now we can drop this rock on it for 5% of its health and a knockdown, which lasts just long enough to get us back into our amp state.
Did that give me gauge? We'll find out.
No.
Please. Sad. Hello, can we stop just, like, climbing? Alright, whatever. The environment was being mean to me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I missed both of my clutch ZSDs, which is, it's not the end of the world. I'm really good at ad-lib. I would say that's my strongest feature in this game, is just being able to ad-lib when I ruin a script, because it's always my fault. My positioning's so bad on Anjanath. But we recovered it really well, which is great. We want to make sure that we take everything here. This has large bones and the Anjanath pelt, which I didn't see.
You got like 8 of them.
I got 8? Why do I never see them when I get so
I don't
many?
know.
Okay, like getting 1 is super sketchy. I just get so many of those. But something about that quest is that it's one of our weapon upgrade points. Whenever a quest would give a weapon reward for the defender weapon, it always gives 1 of them, which is super just game. That's the game's design. So that one's always guaranteed to give us a Anjanath scale, which is great. So we have that now. So we won't need our upgrade for this quest, and we'll kind of explain that why when we get into it. But immediately after this quest, we will upgrade our weapon. And oh my gosh, mashing is becoming really difficult. But this is Zora Magdaros 1, Zora 1 that we call it, or Snora Napteros, because it's more or less an auto-scroller. It's a type of fight that we call a siege fight. It's the first partial any percent category, because this game is really long and has historically always been really long. We include partial any percent categories on the leaderboards to, make up for... To give something for people that don't have, 4 hours to commit to a speed run to do. Which this is actually how I started learning the game, is I perfected and got a second place time within 21 seconds. I think less than, actually. 17 seconds, something like that, of world record, 3 years ago. So it's a great place to start out with. It's an approachable run. It can be scripted. Nearly every weapon can be scripted in this. It's a blast. But this is Zora 1. So we start this by shooting this weapon here called a Ballista Binder. It's going to stop Zora's movement. But wait, this is a speedrun. Why do we want him to stop? So that binder has to happen no matter what. It has to be shot. So the player can do it, or the NPCs will do it. If the player does it when Zora Magdaros gets to the barrier, it's pretty quick. If the player doesn't do it and Zora Magdaros gets to the barrier, the NPCs will do it, and it lasts forever, like twice as long. But if we get up there and we shoot it as soon as the quest starts, it's already ended. It's the fastest version of the... oh, that hit. Nice. That's the fastest version of the binder that we can shoot. So now the, kind of requirement to shoot that binder has been satisfied. So next, Zora Magdaros in this first phase wants to do 2 attacks. We're going to shoot cannons at specific times to interrupt those attacks, and then stagger him out of other animations and into other positions to get him to transition to the barrier as fast as possible. This is easy to do. It's also easy to mess up. So I'll let Green kind of talk about other things that are going to go on in here.
Yep. So this first cannon, we are looking for a very specific animation. Zora is going to take 1 big step forward. He's going to start to rotate, and then he's going to start to take another big step, and that's when we're going to shoot this first cannon to get a chest break and stagger him out of it.
I'm gonna put this Ghillie Mantle on here to stop these wing drakes that are spawning in from bothering me. It hides me from them in plain sight, so they don't try to like hit me. But after I shoot this cannon, it breaks, and then they will start to try to hit me.
So next, Zora's going to try and spit a big old fireball on top of this cannon. We are going to get a flinch. We are then going to go to a ballista and get a chest break to stagger him back so he's closer to the barrier. And then he'll have one more animation we'll have to cancel.
This is the one that you wait for him to back up on? Or is it after the chest break?
Yes. It's after the chest break.
So, chest break.
Yep.
And then after this.
Yes.
It's
So
new tech
after this
that
animation,
Green kind of figured out here.
Zora's going to do this weird thing where he's going to... There you go. Zora right there wants to back up, then step forward, then back up again, and then step forward again. For the longest time, we were just shooting that ballista as soon as we could to get that last flinch, and we would just randomly lose 20 seconds, and we had no idea why. We just recently figured out that there is a very brief window where you can flinch him before he starts that backstep, so you don't actually skip it. So right here, we've done all the damage we need and canceled all the animations we need to for Zora to finish the quest, so we're just going to take this time to organize our item box and sell anything we don't need.
That that voice line that we just got there just told me that we got, you know, what we needed there. Oh, I'm just gonna put this right here, honestly. That voice line tells us that we got fast Zora. We did everything right, and it came really early, so he's going to start progressing. Phase 2 is just a big walking sequence. We're going to do some mining on his back for the high metal greaves that we want to make with the iron ore that we collected. But we don't really need to like rush to get there. He's going to progress no matter what. We just need to get there with enough time to do all the mining, which we really don't even need to do all the mining, but we do it anyways. So we can actually just kind of like take our time here. If you guys had any announcements or anything that you wanted to read off, now is a fantastic time to do that, because we have a lot of just kind of waiting around time right now. Oh, I got 5 pelts and 5 large bones. No medium bones. This would have been a really bad add-ons run, or no add-ons run. Yeah, the next part of this is just going to be running around on Zora's back.
Did you get 2 Anja plates?
I did get 2 Anja plates, yeah. Good old 2% chance. But the mining here can be done pretty quickly. And then at the very end of this, we're going to take some time to do an item bar management. I just like to put things in order how I like to use them. I put things that I have to use like quickly, one after another, next to each other. So like all my traps go next to my trinks. My bombs go next to my mite seeds. I just kind of like reorder things in a way that makes sense to me. And check my inventory just to make sure I have everything that I need. But pretty much, I mean, this is the larger portion of the auto-scroller. It's really funny. People just doing submissions to Zora 1, they just go up to his head and stand there and just emote until he's done. And this section does take quite a bit of time to finish, a few minutes.
Yep. I actually just recently timed it out. The voice line to indicate he's going to start breaking the barrier happens 4 minutes into the quest. The quest, if done well, takes 12.5 minutes.
Yep. Definitely the longest quest of the game. Do I get hit by that? Ow. Neat. Thanks, Zora. You may have noticed that I said Zora 1 earlier, which, you know, immediately assumes that there's a Zora 2 at least, and there is. But at least that fight, it's our introduction to high rank, which is like the next level of difficulty for the game, and that quest is a lot more interactive. We have a specific route and specific timings that we want to meet and we actually have to do damage to parts of Zora Madros called the magma cores, which the NPCs are yelling at us to do right now, but we just aren't going to do. One, because we've already met the health gate that we need to meet for this quest, which the cannons and ballista that we shot in phase 1 did. And two, if we break a core on accident, it just stops completely. So on Zora 2, we're going to be attacking those cores, but not breaking them, which is just precise damage. You know, so I'm going to do weapon combos that get me up to a part break, but not the actual part break.
One of the things we so desperately want is Zora 1 skip. We had we had one theory on how to do it. This quest ends with a monster called Nergigante appearing, and you have to repel him. Messing around one day, I noticed that Nergigante is spawned in the game even before you actually fight him. So I wondered if we could find where he is and damage him, would that end the quest? So I talked to some modders, and they said, okay, first off, he's about 8,000 units underground, and behind 8 layers of projectile protection, so nothing can reach him. And even if you could, that monster's health isn't the only flag to end the quest. Every step Zora takes during this sequence is a flag that has to be met for the quest to end. So unless we find a way to just never do this quest in the first place, we won't have a way to skip this.
Rip Zora skip. Yeah, for the most part, we're gonna be doing everything that the game requires us. Unfortunately, there are no like big skips or glitches in this game. The true, you know, the true personality of the speedrun comes through in the precise gameplay. Everything that we do has a meaning. There is an intent behind it, and the way that we fight monsters is in a way that makes it as easy as possible. So we've done all of our mining. That's every node except for one, which is on his nose, which we'll get here in a second. That can be, you know, mined. So we're just gonna kind of wait here, and I'm gonna do some, you know, item bar management. Not required. It's just a comfort thing. And since you got all this extra time anyways, just standing around doing nothing, you might as well, right? I don't want this here. I want that there. Yeah, the Zora skip, one day. By one day, I mean never. Just can't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, the thing about the Zora skip is since the only way we know of to do it is to skip this quest, that would break the game wide open, because it would mean we could skip every quest and just go straight to the final monster.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't even remember. I had something lined up. I don't know anymore. It's almost over, I swear. But this is why we call it Snoranapteros. You know, there's not much to do but take a nap during it. There was one runner for a while that would take a selfie with chat every time they got to Zora. That was always fun. I like that one. I've played other video games during this before. Used to do that a lot. Would open up just like Hat in Time or like a Pokemon game or something like that and play it on stream at the same time. Oh yeah, man, if that ever happened, it would definitely be its own category. Yep, I mean, the add-ons came out in this game, and then 3 of us did speedruns with it, and we're like, yep, this is its own category. No shot this is going to be allowed.
Yeah, saved, what, an hour?
Yep.
Just using this stuff?
Without any optimization or anything, just using this equipment saved an hour. Alright, so now that we're standing up, we know that we met the health gate. If we didn't, he wouldn't stand. We're going to get this last node here, because why not? And we're going to do something that I like to call Nergigante Quick Kill. Oh no, he spoiled the super secret monster that appears at the end. It's Nergigante. AKA the spikiest hedgehog. So we're going to fall off of Zora here, which is going to put us in a specific spot on his back. Just kind of respawns us there. And we're going to take this moment. It gives us like a position to run off of to get to this rock right here that I so lovingly call the poop rock. Looks like a little pile of poop. We're going to put those bombs right there, and that's where Nergi spawns. Nergi's going to land in here. Since we're using the ghillie, we're only going to get his, his engage roar. I don't know. It's kind of weird how we talk about this, but we're just going to dodge that roar like it's no problem. Put down 3 barrel bombs here. That's going to set off all of that, and that's exactly his health. That's it.
Yep. The game actually isn't supposed to let you place 3 barrel bombs there. Normally, by the time you start placing the 3rd one, the first one you placed would have exploded and hit you. But he actually used a small little tech. So after you place that first barrel bomb, it puts you into kind of a slow standing up animation. In that animation, you can't place another barrel bomb. However, you can start moving, which places you into the moving animation, which can immediately be canceled back into placing that barrel bomb. So if you just move out of an animation where you can't do anything, you can immediately go into doing something else, which we'll actually be using, right here to open the map a little faster.
Oh, I lost that half second again, Green. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god. How dare you.
I can open that map during Zora when I'm standing there doing absolutely nothing and save on one of those like map load-ins, which saves like less than a half a second. All right, so this is the Great Ravine. We come here once. It's amazing. It's amazing that they put this into the game. This map is literally only used right now, and you can never return to it, which is hilarious. I really wish you could just come back here so you could just chill. But, like, they made this map. It exists in one place, right here, and that's it. And then they never use it again. But this is going to bring us to the next section of the game, which is going to be the Coral Highlands. Coral Highlands are cool. It's my favorite, like, aesthetically. My favorite area aesthetically, for sure. It's like a coral reef, but, you know, in a mountain. It's very, very cool.
While we're taking a look at those pretty aesthetics, do you mind if I read off a couple donations?
Absolutely.
Amazing. Alrighty, first off, we have a $5 donation from Yami Carl 123 saying, "Good luck, Bagel."
Thank you, Yami.
And then we also have a $25 donation from Matt Used Struggle. Thank you so much, guys. If you guys want that towards any incentives, just let us know in the chat, and we'll make sure to throw that on there. !I to take a look there. We only have a couple more for the evening, so be sure to let us know. All right, thank you again, guys.
Yep, thank you. Guys, thank you so much for those donations. We're raising money for a great cause today, so absolutely every little bit is appreciated. So this is the research base. This is... Whoops. Don't talk to her. This is the best hub in the base game experience. For one really big reason. It has all the same facilities as Astera, and it's a fifth of the size. Everything is right next to itself. So instead of doing anything in Astera, we're actually just going to come here to do it instead. Even if we just have to talk to the handler to launch a quest, we just do it in the research base anyways. It's really funny. It's my favorite part of the speedrun. Astera is too big and unwieldy to do anything in, so we just do it all in the research base.
Yup.
And that actually wasn't part of the base game. When the Iceborne update came out, when the Iceborne DLC came out, they actually added the rest of the facilities to the research base that weren't there, more notably the smithy. Adding the smithy made a huge impact to the routing of the speedrun.
Yeah, there are actually times where we will be placed in Astera, but it's still faster for us to fast travel to the research base to visit the smithy or the handler.
All right, so this is another expedition. Our objective here is to spot that monster called the Zitsi Yaku, and then go and discover a camp. We're never going to unlock this camp. It takes a Zitsi Yaku hide to do, which the only way to get the hide is to, unfortunately, hunt the monster, and it's not a required monster for us to hunt. So hunting it is just a time loss. Instead, we just kind of deal with not having it, which isn't a huge problem for most of this run, but in the DLC portion of the game, it's theorized that we should get it, but hasn't been done yet. So this is going to take us back to the research base, and we're going to do some shopping, some item management, and a weapon upgrade. I'm going to do two things here for upgrading. I'm going to a couple things actually. I'm going to make the Defender Sword and Shield, which will be used at the end of this run. I'm going to upgrade the Switch Axe, and I am going to make 2 pieces of armor, the Bone Chest and the High Metal Greaves. That's going to give me a level of heavy artillery to make my cannons and ballista stronger on Zora 2, and it's going to give me a level of attack boost, which is going to make my attacks do more damage. That damage is good and bad, and we'll talk more about that later. But for now, more damage, good. And then I'm just going to kind of pay attention to doing this really quick.
And he did actually do some equipment box management on Zora, so that his Switch Axe and Sword and Shield will be the very first items in his box when he goes to upgrade.
Nice. All right. So this is Paolumu, aka Batloon, aka obnoxious rat balloon thing. So we've been talking about scripts for each of the fights. That's a preset, sequence of attacks to make sure the monster doesn't move the entire time. A full script is something like Anjanath, where we can just lock it into one animation the entire time and kill it as fast as possible. This is a partial script, which means we have an opener, and then that's about it. Everything else is just YOLO after that. It's unfortunate. This sequence of the game, this is called Colossal Task, or Zora 2. It is the most unscriptable part of the game, only because we're like playing just under our means, kind of, not really, because of Defender gear. And these monsters are getting, a lot harder. They have more health. They have a lot more variable AI. They hit like trucks. They start to really pick up the difficulty in this game. If you aren't prepared for it. Luckily for us, though, we are prepared for it. And we're just going to kind of pray that we get good RNG through this. It's a lot of ad-lib, unfortunately, but, we deal. Alright, so far so good. Just gotta watch out for the sleep boy over there. Oh, don't think I got it. I think I got one of those.
Yeah, so that is one unfortunate thing about ZSD. You actually dismount the monster before your finisher goes off. So what can happen is the monster will clagger from a blast proc right before your finisher happens, so you'll dismount as it flinches away from you, and then the explosion will go off. Luckily, it's still connected with Paolumu here, but that could have gone much worse.
YOLO. And it worked out. Let's go.
So right there, Bagel didn't have his amp state anymore to ZSD the monster, so he actually just grabbed the Clagger and immediately dropped off to take advantage of the CC with his ground combo. And there's that second pod, and the monster is actually limping, so it is definitely ready for capture.
Alright, nice. And I did box the sleep herbs this time. Green, are you proud of me?
I'm so proud.
Let's see if I remember to put them back into my inventory later, which I usually don't.
I mean, if you get good RNG on Pink Rathian tracks, I think it's faster to just not pull them out.
Yeah. I usually pull them out way before then, though.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, we don't need anything here. Oh, there were 2 flash bugs. Okay, we did need something there. I should have taken that. I'm always short on flashes on Pinky, and I'm scared. Alright, so next we're going into the Rotten Vale. This is a really cool area. It's underneath the Coral Highlands. It's kind of like where the Coral Highlands is all life and pretty vibrant colors. The Coral Highlands is death, decay, detritus, gross, disgusting things that feed on nastiness. But this is a really cool full script. This is actually the only full script in Colossal Task. And you can lose it for a lot of different reasons, which is why we don't even call this a full script usually. But I should be fine. I have really good ad-lib on this fight.
So to start out, we are flashing the monster because a flash will always flinch the monster in the same way, and it flinches this guy right into position for a wallbang.
Nope, not that
And
one.
now you may notice these little mosquito friends that are coming towards us. These are called Vespoids. We're going to try to position so our attacks clip into them and kill them because they can sting us and paralyze us, which makes everything go wrong. There's the first Clagger.
1, 2.
Good.
1, 2. One, two.
And that is a perfect Radobon.
Yep. Literally perfect. That's actually great to get. I don't get those often because one thing can go wonky there and you lose the script. What's really tragic about that area is that it's a slope. Everything's on an angle. It's awful. Just that angle can make me miss a variety of things. And we want to make sure that, we don't, because missing things is bad. We lose openers and scripts and stuff. So that's actually great. One of the things that I always like to talk about here, though, we have to come and spot this, lizard down here. And on the way, there are all of these perish rooms. And right now in this run, the one thing that I need more than anything is perish rooms. And it's insane how convenient this speedrun is that we can go from, fighting that Radobon and go, oh, I need perish rooms, and there's a billion right there. I love this speedrun for that exactly.
Yep.
Next is Legiana. Legiana, we're going to use a strategy that Green so lovingly calls Flash and Pray. And it sounds exactly like what it is. We're going to flashbang the monster, and we're going to pray that it works. This has a really cool opener. There's no cutscene to start this quest, and instead the monster is roaming and transitioning to the area that we're going to fight it in. And so we're going to set up some bombs and position ourselves for a wallbang to start off this fight. And if we do everything correctly, we get 3 ZSDs in, which is really cool. There's only a handful of fights that don't start with cutscenes. This is one of them. This is still the wrong button. Oh my gosh, that's Rise. I keep hitting R2X to go on the quest, but that's for Rise. I just need to hit Select X. Alright, so we start this off. We're going to eat. Pretty much in, pre-Zora 1, we don't eat, but in Zora 2, we start eating on every quest, or at least most of them. And this quest also gives us some free flash pods, so we're going to use those over the ones that we have. It's just to save resources. Ideally, I will not use more than 2. Fingers crossed. I just cursed myself right there, right? But hopefully we don't use more than 2. And we're just going to do some little extra gathering. As long as I move quickly here, we don't really lose any time to this gathering. And yeah, it's usually not a problem. The only time it is a problem is if we accidentally aggro this ZCUQ, but it won't be an issue. Yeah, we just got to go up another ledge after this one. And then we're going to be able to fight our Legiana. And Legiana also drops Pierce pods, so after it drops the first pod, I usually grab those to finish off the quest. We just have to be really careful about a sort of AI called Aerial Diagros. This monster is a flying wyvern, which means it likes to fly. Weird how birds do that. This guy, if he's in the air and ready for capture, he will just leave without any warding whatsoever. And we don't want that.
So because it's stuck in this kind of descending animation, it actually can't do anything to stop us from wallbanging it, so we're going to take advantage of that. Now we're going to pick up these stone. do a combo that starts building up our gauge and puts us onto the monster,
Why did I do that?
and we'll bang it again. Now we're going to do a combo to get the rest of our gauge and put us into our first CSD.
So Legiana's Roar will knock us off. 1, 2. So I wanted to make sure I got that ZSD in before it roared. And then here comes the prey part. Nice.
You've got such good AI.
It's
So we got
positioning,
very
man.
lucky that Legiana was actually in the air for that, which meant we got a topple out of the flash. If it's on the ground, the logic behind the flash and pray is that a flash monster actually does have a reduced moveset, and Legiana's flash moveset only has 2 attacks that can hit us out of a ZSD.
Wild.
Oh.
Nice.
That was a very nice Legiana.
That was super lucky. That second flash was kind of a YOLO. It was jumping off the ground as I flashed. As long as the Legiana is in an animation that would put it off of the ground, the moment the animation starts, it's counted as off the ground. So if I flash it, it's landed on the ground. That was great. We'll see what this time is.
Like 303? Or no, 258, I think. I was
289.
close.
Yeah, you're 1 second off. I was looking for flashes there. I really should just take on this and Legiana every time because I really don't need the money. So I think I'm going to start just doing that. Oh, whoops. I talked to you again. So we're going to go do Odegarin. Oh, I hit circle. No. Time loss re. I got 4 extra flashes out of that, which is huge because I'm usually short flashes going into Pink Rathian, which is our 3rd high rank quest. And it's our last, non-Elder Dragon fight. It's the last monster that we capture, and it's a huge skill set ceiling. The monster can't be fully scripted, though Green is trying, his absolute best, and he's got one kind of. But if it doesn't start right, the script fails.
I have found a consistent opener. I'm just not sure if it's fast enough yet.
Yeah, I'm already here.
So we're actually taking a roundabout way to this cutscene because we need an item here called Devil's Blight, which will let us create 2 mega barrel bombs that we'll be using later on.
You know they're better because they have the word mega in front of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I grabbed...
Huh.
Well, that's annoying. How did I grab that bait bug? Marathon luck!
Too early.
How did I do that? Oh, maybe because I cut that corner. That's probably why. Yeah. Alright, well, a little bit of a time loss. It's okay. We accounted for that. I even said to Green when making my estimate, man, but what if I grab that bait bug accidentally? It's literally never happened.
Actually, it happened to one other runner once. But they didn't realize until they actually needed the mega barrel bombs.
Tragic. Alright, so we're going to gilly up, use a ration to reset our stamina, and use a Might Seed here. And try for a wallbang opener on Odegarin. Odegarin's one of my favorite fights. But it's also one of the harder ones to do fast. The full script on this thing requires us to do a pitfall very quickly, which I just don't get anymore. Oh, I thought it was going to miss. But it's okay.
Yeah, fun thing about this wall bang. 3 of the walls in this room are not actually walls. So if he goes into any of those, you just don't get your wall bang.
Alright, good start. 1, 2.
She got some funny AI here. He claggered on top of that torch pod, so he's getting some nice ticking damage.
Ow, hit me. Rude. Uh-oh. Ooh. Alright, we're gonna side hop that. We're gonna grab this. Ooh, tragic.
There's that first pod. And it's our best friend, the piercing pod. Which already
really
got
nice
us our
about-
second.
Yeah, what's really nice about Odegarin too is that he really likes to attack the hunter. So if we put down a trap and it's not exactly on top of him, it's still okay. We can just stand next to it and usually get him trapped. It was a little slow because this respawns. Oh no, I had to run around in circles. Okay, no, that was still probably fine. They decided to run around and go back for the Devil's Blade. That's why that respawned. You can usually tell how fast I did that by how fast that Might Seed respawns, because it usually doesn't. But we had to like double back, so that, you know, didn't help there. But that was still a really good Odegarin. 321. Outside of losing the time for doubling back, that's really good. All right, 2 more before Zora 2 are probably 2 of the harder fights in low rank. It's Diablos and Rathalos. I say harder for Rathalos only because the moment that you lose the script on Rathalos, you just lose a minute or two. Like, it's super unfortunate. Diablos is just a really high skill ceiling because it's unscriptable and a pain to fight. And we'll talk about more when we get there, but we're going to use some kind of hidden tech here to get up to the top of the tree to our cutscene trigger. We'll check my crafting. Yeah, we want to hold off on making those demon powders, which actually, no, I picked up 2. Actually, I could just make them now, honestly. I have how many? 7? Yeah, I'm going to make them now. But coming up here is going to do 2 things for us. We're going to unlock, or we're going to meet our cutscene trigger to meet the requirements of this expedition, and then we're also going to unlock Camp 17, at least the delivery request for Camp 17. Extra there, and I have an extra ivy. Do I have an extra spiderweb that I can pick up elsewhere? I guess not, huh? That was my last chance for it. I didn't pick up the one on Radabon, did I? I don't need it. It's
No.
fine.
Yeah.
But the Radabon one
did
is the extra one.
Or pick up 2 during Anjanath.
Yeah. Yeah, I was only able to get to 1.
So we did actually take a slightly longer path to that cutscene just because we wanted to pick up some ivy for 2 more pitfall traps. It's like a 7-second time loss from movement, but the ivy makes 2 more fights so much more consistent. It's worth it.
All right, Camp 17. We're going to return, and we're going to do Diablos first. Diablos is a really fun fight. I really like it. It's just a hard fight to do well. We're gonna try to bait certain AI to get a cool opener. The opener itself is pretty consistent. It's just if you mess it up, you either like get hit really hard, or you. Oh, that still was just 2. And we're gonna take all of those now. You either get hit really hard or you just don't get the opener. And it's kind of unfortunate because the opener is, like, huge. And you'll see why. He stands still forever, and then we can bait AI to make him stand still even longer. But, like, our position, the way that we're faced, and what, like, the monster is doing, we can take all that into consideration to bait specific AI. There are things that are baitable and things that aren't. There are things that are like completely random and things that we can make happen more often just by facing a specific way. On the smaller monsters, and that includes monsters like Diablos that we're about to fight, it's a little bit harder to do because the monster is so small. But on our large, incredibly large Elder Dragons, like the very last fight of this game, we can do that pretty easily. And even in Iceborne, this is done a lot. If you're familiar with this game, there is a monster called Fatalis. It's like the last, big fight of the game. He was like the last free title update. He's just a really big, mean, hurts you a lot dragon. But there is a strategy in speedrunning called cone baiting, and just dependent on your position and just how you fight them, you can bait out this cone attack. All right, so that's the good opener. Step, roll, and then this should bait a tail attack, and it does. And then we should just get standing still AI. The trip AI is just as good.
Now you may notice we are not ZSDing Diablos' head. Diablos, similar to Tobi Kadachi, his head is not his best hit zone for bladed weapons. His tail actually isn't either. His best hit zone for us is his chest, but we can't actually ZSD the chest, unfortunately.
Oh, this isn't Rise.
So right here we just did what's called tenderizing. It makes the body part you hit take more damage. And we do it to Diablos' leg because it A, makes the leg weak enough that we're actually dealing decent damage to it now, and B, if we deal enough damage to Diablos' leg, it will fall over.
So being behind the monster like this baits this tail attack, and if I'm in the right position, I just don't get hit by it, and I get to stand underneath it and take advantage of it. Oop, I dodged directly into the other tail, it's okay. Or the other leg. Oop. That's actually good. I don't want that flash to go off yet. 1 and 2. This is going to bait another run attack. Tragic. I haven't seen a pod, but I'm positive it's cap ready.
Oh,
Dude, hardest roar to dodge in the game. Just doing it casually like that. Oh, it feels so good. Yeah, 342, that was slow, but that's okay. Yeah, that's one of the hardest roars to dodge in the game. It has a very bad tell, so it's all timing based on when the animation starts. Most roars have like a head flail or like a jerk or something like that they do that you can time it a lot better against. Not Diablos. And if you don't time it right, you get caught by it. But just like, you know, most action adventure games, this has like iframes like Dark Souls. And we can use those to even dodge, you know, the auditory roar effects that happen. All right, so Rathalos is cool. This opens with an environmental trap, and we're going to be fighting it in what we call a transition zone. Transition zones are areas on the map where monsters shouldn't exist, but they can. The game is designed and AI is designed in a way that monsters aren't supposed to fight there. So this environmental trap drops Rathalos directly into a transition zone. That fight now has to be done in a way that we stop Rathalos from leaving. We don't want him to leave. It just is a big time waster and can result in other bad, annoying things happening. So instead, we're going to use flash pods and just kind of keep him here as long as we can.
So this specific combo is scripted out. So after this last ZSD, Bagel will be able to do a front hop, do a dodge, morph back to axe mode, and slinger burst this
Tragic.
flash. Oh,
I got it first, yeah. I was a little late. So that roar right there is his like encounter roar. Monsters will roar when they see you. That's unfortunate. I did a wild swing directly into that. Good AI.
so the reason we don't like the fact that Rathalos is flashed here is because he can't see us, so he can't target us, so his AI is just completely random.
Cool. Alright, I took a little bit of a time loss there just to do this safe. I'm watching my health so I don't die. But we're really good. But just kind of playing it safe there, getting an extra flash in. I picked up the bomb pods, which I normally wouldn't do, but the bomb pods, even off of a slinger burst, flinch the monster, stagger them, you know, kind of in place. And that also helps extend how long he stays here. Pre-trapping, pre-tranking Rathalos is really hard because he's so unpredictable when he's flashed. But this fight, that went well. There is a Tobi-Kadachi that can also spawn in this area and come and interact with us. And if we accidentally hit it with anything, then it wants to play too. And that makes this fight even harder when you're fighting two flashed monsters at the same time, one of which you don't want to capture or fight at all. When you go down to put a shock trap and Tobi-Kadachi's like, ooh, that looks like fun, and jumps directly into it. And that was your only shock trap that you had. Yeah, no, it gets really frustrating real quick. Luckily, though, we didn't have to deal with that. So next, Zora Magnaros 2. This fight's really cool. This entire sequence is scripted. We have two objectives: defeat Zora Magnaros and break Nergigante's horns. We don't have to break Nergi's horn for the quest to complete. We do need to break it, however, to cut out an entire second visit to a map to gather tracks for him. We'll explain a little bit more about that later, but for right now, the more important thing to know is that we want to break Nergi's horns. So picking up those Devil Blight mushrooms is going to help us do that. That's what the Mega Barrel Bombs are for. And we're just going to use those in conjunction with our other tools in the game to do that as fast as possible. Man, yes, dung is still gathered in this route. We don't use it because, especially in an area that's that tight, if you hit Rathalos with the dung, you can't stop him from transitioning. He's just gonna do it. There's no transition AI. It just skips all that stuff and leaves. Dung used to be used on the Pink Rathian quest. Instead, we just pull Rathian down because that's easier. I still pick up dung as I still do it because it's still in my muscle memory. It loses no time, and it's also used in the Iceborne percent of the game, in the DLC, the 8-hour-long speedrun. It's used there. It can also be used here as a backup to drop these stalactites and stalagmites, but we don't really need it anymore with how we route.
And even if dung actually doesn't do anything against Toby there, because the issue that happens is if you flash him. If he just engages with you, he's in a transition zone, so he's going to immediately leave again.
Mm-hmm. But if you flash him or if you hit him, he starts to fight in that area, just like Rathalos will, and then it's annoying. Green, can you talk about this?
Yes. So, like we mentioned on Zora 1, we don't want to break these magma cores. However, unlike Zora 1, we have a much larger health gate we have to meet. On Zora 1, it was like maybe 5% of his health. On this quest, we need to deal 75% of his health. So Bagel is actually doing...
I've done
very
two. I need to
specific
do some-
weapon attacks. So that he can A, get as much damage in as possible without breaking the core, and B, make cycles to drop these rocks. The speed Zora moves at does matter here, but these rocks also give us a lot of damage. The thing about these rocks is that they flinch him, so we're actually going to be dropping them either to cancel animations we don't want, or during a time where he's already standing still. So right here, Zora's going to try to do a weird little tremor, but we're going to get a voice line that's going to tell us when we can drop these rocks to avoid that. Right there, Bagel actually shot the magma core before he started hitting it to trigger it to explode so he could position around where the damage was going to be.
All right, so that's it for damage on this. Okay, ran back into that like a very smart person.
Yeah.
I've got one fold and it's working overtime right now.
Yep.
But so far so good. I just
So
need to
this-
remember that I already did 2 hits of Wild Swing on the first core. I actually wasn't supposed to do that. Just need to remember that I did.
So this next rock drop is actually the most important one. It skips 2 important things. One, Zora stands still for something like 30 seconds here. And 2, he does that to power up. And if he successfully powers up, a few things happen. First off, the magma cores explode more frequently, which means we have less time to fit in damage. He does a massive explosion that does a lot of damage to us, even with the Guardian armor that we're wearing.
It'll just kill us.
And yeah, and the lava spewing out of the top of him, that isn't usually a problem, has a much larger hitbox and does a lot more damage.
We would rather just avoid all of that. So we drop that rock. So now I'm just waiting for Zora to get into position here. He's going to stop, and the NPCs are going to shoot a binder. This binder we can't shoot. It's not like the first Zora 1 binder where we don't want the NPCs to shoot it. Instead, we do want the NPCs to shoot it. And when they do that, we're going to drop 2 more of these stalactites. And because he's already in an animation that stopped him, it won't flinch him or stop him again. And then that's going to give us time to set up bombs to wallbang Nergigante. I'm just going to kind of do this next thing. It's relatively easy, but it's also really easy to mess up too, like most things in this game. Like, you're going to hear me say that a lot. It's easy. It's also easy to mess up. So I'm positioning myself in a very specific way to bait AI here. I want him to jump, but there is a chance that he'll just run up. So I kind of have to be ready to adjust to that AI, but he's more than likely going to jump. Nice. Thank you, Nergy, for not making me a liar.
There's that hornbreak.
Don't hurt me. Ow. So now we're just kind of waiting for Nergy to be done fighting us. But we can have fun and keep hitting him. Uh-oh. As long as I just don't die.
Yeah. We also
Dying
don't
here is
know
bad.
we don't know all the background details around it, but how much damage you deal to Nergigante here does relate to how long Zora stands still in this next section.
Everybody say hi to Rock Friend. This is
Rock
Rock Friend. Rock Friend was found by a community member, but not a speedrunner. GJG98 actually speeds a hat in time, not even Monster Hunter. But he found this that when Zora is standing up like this rock just doesn't break, but this still ticks away at Zora's overall health. So we take advantage of that. It also has a really weird hitbox, as you can see. Like some of our attacks just aren't connecting. We can really take advantage of this thing. And this may look familiar.
Nice.
We're now back next to that first core.
And we have some downtime here, so Bagel's just going to fit in those last 7 wild swings he needed.
Kind of taking my time here too, because I want to get down here at a specific time. I want to hit this core kind of in time with a cycle. That's actually good because it tells me I'm on time for that cycle. Because I want to make this first explosion happen now, and it's going to make the last explosion happen right before he stands up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're gonna stop there. So it's primed for a break now. So if I did everything correctly, which I think I did, this core will explode right before he stands up. That gives me an opening to go up and ZSD it. We're actually gonna break this core because while he's standing up, he can't be flinched. So it's once again just one of those things. We're gonna fit in damage that would cause flinches during animations that he's already standing still or can't be flinched. Okay, I guess I hit it a little too late. Still broke. Good. And good. All right, neat. Still got it.
Yep.
This is the last phase. That was all phase 1, right? This is phase 2, our cannon phase. We equipped the high metal greaves to make these do more damage. But now I'm just going to be kind of focusing on these cannons. Green, I'll let you explain the rest of this.
Yep. So we have not done enough damage to Zora to end the quest, and even if we had, the quest can't actually end until he gets close enough to the barrier to damage it. So we will shoot this one cannon because we have timing to guarantee it doesn't flinch him, but we aren't going to shoot any more because we don't want him to take any longer to get to the barrier than he needs. So while we wait for him to get there, we're just going to fill up this last cannon, and then we are going to head up to the bow of the ship where there's a big spear called the Dragonator that will deal 10% of his health. So queued on the Dragonator, and then as soon as the barrier health appears in the top right, we can pull it. And now if we did enough damage while on his back, it'll take 5 full cannons. We shot 1 while he was walking towards the barrier, so after this volley it'll be 3, and we'll need 1 more full cannon.
Nice.
Perfect.
That was 4.5. Alright, so Zora 2 also gives us a commendation for our upgrades, so we make sure we take rewards here. And we go on to the next bit, which is the beginning of high rank. That quest was actually the first high rank quest. And so now we will go off to the research base. We're going to do another upgrade here. And then we're going to go on to an investigation to go fight a Pookie Pookie. Wait, again? Yeah, but this one's stronger. He's cooler Pookie. All right, so quick
Yep.
upgrade there, and right to the handler. We've already gotten our power charm. Right down, mash through that. Cool. Green, I'm gonna let you explain tracks. You do it so much better than me.
Okay. So we have reached a point in the game where they want to slow us down because we have reached the next rank of the game, and the game wants to tell us, hey, you should stop what you're doing and grind a new armor set to make this work. So they added this mechanic called track gathering. After this hunt, and actually during this hunt, we'll find some tracks for a new monster called Pinkrathian. Normally, the game intends for you to complete a bunch of high rank quests to fill up your research for that. We don't need to do that because we already have the materials we need. So we're going to be gathering 6 footprints here, and then we are going to go on an expedition and an optional quest after this hunt to gather the rest that we need. So we need 400 research points total. We're going to be getting 600 from this quest, so there's the first 20. There is the second 20, so that's 40 points, and we'll be grabbing 2 more after this hunt. We'll also be doing 1 more assigned mission before that time, which will give us 40 points, so that's 100 points total, so we'll need to gather 300 more research points.
How did that not?
We're actually getting pretty lucky with how this Pookie is moving because he's moving closer to the last tracks we'll need to gather after we capture it. And now we are not actually going to return from expedition using the return from expedition button, even though the menuing is faster. We're actually going to be opening the world map and traveling to Astera. Because if we just return from the expedition normally, we'll be put back at the research base, and that won't trigger the next section of the story.
Make sure we take everything here. We get a Pookie Pookie Sack Plus from this quest, and that Sack Plus lets us make the high rank Pookie Pookie weapon for the Palico, which will be used in the last quest to inflict poison on the big bad monster that we ended the run with. It saves a bunch of time just doing it that way, and it just makes the run like that much faster. Unfortunately, it does mean that we have to deal with like cat AI, but it's manageable. So got it. I buffered that map input.
Enough.
Yeah, I mashed fast enough to buffer that map input to open it the moment I came out of that council meeting. It saves that negligible time.
It does actually skip a full tutorial box, though.
Yeah. So, this is now track gathering. We're going to use expeditions to reset the tracks. We're going to use a combination of like expeditions and quests, optional quests, to reset track RNG. There are 3 patterns that tracks can spawn for 4 different monsters. That makes 12 patterns total that we have to memorize. I got pattern 3 for Pinkrathian, which isn't terrible. It's just also has the lowest amount of tracks. This pattern only has 15 points on it. 150. And so, we'll have to make sure that we gather another 150 after this.
There are 2 types of tracks you can pick up. A small gather, which is like a scale or a footprint, and then a large gather, which is gashes, which is actually coming up. A small gather gives 10 points, a large gather gives 20. Because everything is divisible by 10s, we just count in 1s and 2s instead, so we say we need 40 points total.
These are my last two here. And then now we're going to return to the camp and talk to the handler to start a optional quest. Starting that optional quest will reset the tracks in this area and allows us to gather them again. Oh, whoops, one more. There we go. All right, so that was pattern 3. We'll see which one we get here, but we pretty much have a way to identify each pattern, you know, from starting the quest, and then you just have to memorize the route in which to take and how many points should be there. So there's nothing there, so it's going to be pattern 1 or 2, and it looks like we got pattern 2, which is the good one. So it's 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and don't do what I did last night and end on 25, 22.
This pattern does have 18 points on it, but we're not going to gather all the tracks because we only need 15.
Yeah, I did review that, didn't I?
Yep.
25. Well, now I have extra. 26, 27, 29. $30, I think. Find out. Yep, alright, good. 150 tells me, you know, how many points I gathered. Alright, so next up is high rank Anjanath. Wait, but Jal, you already fought an Anjanath. Yeah, I'm fighting cooler Anjanath this time.
This Anjanath is actually interesting because the script is nearly identical to the first Anjanath, but we don't have a rock to drop. So instead of that, we're going to be using a second pitfall trap to get our amp state back. However, because a pitfall trap doesn't deal damage to the monster's health, we will unfortunately need one more ZSD.
Yeah, which I always forget. We also don't even need to eat here.
Yep.
Which is really funny because on... what's funny is that most of the Colossal Task quests, we eat mostly for stamina, not even for the attack boost, because we don't really need the attack boost, but eating for stamina just kind of helps speed us up, and those camps are so close at the beginning of those quests anyways, it doesn't really lose us any time. But this quest, we just don't do that at all. Alright, looks like I got far spawn. There are 3 spawns that it can be in. One right here, or it can be coming out of that area, or coming out of that area. This is, I think, the most common spawn. Just kind of got to make sure we bait it up here. And I put these. One, two.
So we did that one extra hit because the first Clagger happened off of a blast proc, not off of his ZSD finisher. And that also leads to this head break happening 1 ZSD early, which is why he flashed, because flashing Anjanath actually gives you an opening 2 ZSD. That first pot is on the ground. Because he flashed it, he gets that head flail out of the trap, which gives him an opening to ZSD, and gets him his Clagger so he can trap.
Nice.
Very
There was a
clean
little ad
Anjanath.
lib there because of that blast proc, getting my head break early, but that was a really good Anjanath. That was near perfect. Yeah, it was perfect, honestly. 220, that was perfect.
Yeah, and that was with a bad spawn.
Man, we are cruising through this.
Yep. Oh boy, Pink Rathian.
Pink Rathian. Oh, whoops, hello. So this one also kind of has a flash and pray effect, because one of its most common AIs when it's flashed is to stand perfectly still, which gives us a really big opening to tenderize its leg. With the leg tenderized, it gives us a lot of opportunities to trip it. Just going out of my way there to get extra pitfalls. I checked that because I wanted to grab extra flashes if I had them, but I already grabbed them. But I do need to get extra trap tools there no matter what. One more. And this quest starts in a little different way than everything else. So every quest that we've done so far has started us off in the camp. But this quest is going to start us off a little bit differently. It's introducing a mechanic that we lovingly call Drunk Bird, and that's whenever we go on a quest, the Winged Drake, aka the Bird, will drop us in a random place on the map. This is a pseudo-Drunk Bird in that it will always drop us in front of the monster, but it always drops us in front of the monster, so it doesn't give us the opportunity to eat before this quest, and it's really important to eat on this one because Rathian sucks. This monster can be really difficult sometimes and really temperamental. And so we just try to kind of do everything in our power to make it as easy as possible. Which I got kind of lucky AI here.
So we tenderized and are hitting its leg, despite the fact that that isn't technically the best place to be hitting. The head does take more damage, but the leg makes it fall over. And then we can hit the head while it's falling over. Because this monster has one attack that we can consistently capitalize on. So the longer it's on the ground, the better. So now the monster is enraged, so it'll actually follow us anywhere. So we're going to use that to our advantage and get it out of this zone. Two reasons for that. One, there are some small monsters in that zone called Gajalakas that can paralyze us, make us fall asleep, lots of terrible things. And two, there's a monster on the way called a Legiana that technically, with good RNG, it is faster to just dung pot it and it'll leave immediately. But that is not consistent because a lot of things can happen that'll stop it from leaving. So we just don't want to deal with that.
Oh, immediate Runny's AI.
Huh.
Yep, okay, yep. Into the wall to still hit me. Still doing it. So this is the worst AI that we can get from this monster. We lovingly call it Runnies. Gotta put down a Pitfall Trap, honestly. Oh, God. I'm just getting really unlucky right now. Whew, that would have killed me. I'm going to try to bait out a tail flip so I can flash it, because I have all these extra flash pods and nothing to flash. First pod.
And a topple. So this should get it close enough to capture. Yep.
All right, cool. That could have got a lot worse, but the AI was just really bad there. I didn't get a single tail flip, and I had the extra flash pods. I even went out of my way to get extra flash pods in the quest rewards, which is a negligible time loss, but it still is one. And just getting runnies constantly. Like, it's just what Rathian loves to do. She loves runnies. She likes to be on one end of a map and then on the other is so fast. She's like that SpongeBob meme where she runs to the rock. Want to make sure we take rewards here because she is our next weapon upgrade. But she is our last normal monster to fight. So we don't have to capture monsters anymore. Actually, we can't capture monsters anymore. Instead, we are going to slay every monster that we encounter now, because they are Elder Dragons. Elder Dragons just can't be captured. But we have to do some movement here first, which is more track gathering. So every area that we go to, usually within like the first 5 seconds, I'm going to know what pattern I'm on. This one, I'm on a pattern 1 or 2. Excuse me, 1 or 3. And so now I'm just moving to the next spot to kind of know which pattern I'm on. But we have to go to 3 different areas, and then the Elder's Recess. Elder's Recess is where Nergigante tracks are. Hey, we get pattern... This is 1, right? This is the good one.
This is 1, yeah.
Let's go. Alright, so that's pattern 1, which is good.
Yep.
2, 3, 4... like right here, 5...
The unfortunate
6,
thing about tracks is
7.
they were not created equally. Like we mentioned earlier, every monster does have 3 distinct patterns. Those patterns do not take the same amount of time to complete. This one we're on right now, 2 of its patterns are different by about a second. The third pattern is 40 seconds longer. The second monster, 1 pattern loses 20 seconds, 1 pattern loses 40, and the third monster, 1 pattern loses 10, 1 loses 20. So if you get the worst so if you get a PB with the best possible RNG, and on your next run you get the worst possible RNG, you're losing 1 minute and 40 seconds, 2 hours into your run. It's amazing.
It's fantastic. You just lose world record pace here because RNG.
Yup.
We've gathered 15 points total, so we just need 5 more. Unlike Rathian, the Elder Dragons only take 200 points to finish their investigations instead of 400. So these happen a lot faster, and every route has a guaranteed 200 points. Just like Green said, some are faster than others by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to finish up our gathering here in the Ancient Forest. Woohoo! And we'll move on to the Wildspire Waste next. There's really not much to talk about during these other than, like, you know, getting bad RNG and stuff like that, or accidentally saving. But, you know, you just kind of got to grit your teeth and get, and kind of take your lumps with this one. You know, you assume that you're going to get bad RNG every time. I try to, at least. But time saves in this game now for optimized runs are so small, like 15 seconds. And just to lose, you know, 1.5 minutes from RNG, it just feels bad. Alright, so nothing there. Nothing there. This is a pattern 3. So we've talked about that before, Libum? Libum? I think that's how you say your name. But we've talked about that before. It gets into a weird gray area with modding. If you mod a speedrun to mod out RNG, is it even the speedrun anymore, or is it something different? So we've thrown around the idea of like a tool-assisted modded speedrun category. But even then, you know, modding in the RNG when the RNG like really realistically isn't like making or breaking most runs in a game that isn't as popular as, like, let's say, you know, Elden Ring or Dark Souls, or naming Souls-like games, just bigger speedruns that don't do those kinds of things. It'd be kind of, you know, sus. Like, because yeah, I mean, we've thrown around the idea of like making another category for this tool-assisted idea. But there's just no interest in it, so we don't make it. Oh, I passed that one. There we go. We're good. It's 13. This is 14. But we're very much of the mindset that we only make categories that people are going to run. Not just like a category for anything.
We did very briefly think track skip might have been possible. There was a glitch that Granted, at the time, we had not found a way to replicate in a speedrun setting. It did allow you to post the quests that these track gatherings unlocked without actually gathering the tracks. The issue with that was, even if you did find a way to recreate that glitch in a speedrun setting and complete those quests, it bugs the game out and doesn't let you unlock the final quest of the game.
It's very this game is held together by duct tape and glue.
Yep.
Yeah, so the Bioshock Infinite, that was brought up to me as like a as like a comparison. Pattern 2, but still. But yeah, like those kinds of mods, it changes the run entirely. Even if like we added that, the run is still exactly the same. So outside of like just losing time for no reason. If the run was longer and less accessible, I would 100% be inclined to add something like that. But it's not, and there's also just like not a huge community for it, so it doesn't make sense modding it out now. But the idea has always been there to add a tool-assisted version of this game, which allows you to like run overlay mods and mods that remove RNG, which are things that are in the Monster Hunter community, and you know, puts like monster health values like on the screen and stuff like that to help. It would be tool-assisted at that point. Figure out what the fastest, best possible time could ever be, and make a leaderboard for it if there was interest. But we just like never had that interest. Like of runners right now, only Green and myself are the ones at this level that are actively running, at least like on Twitch and on YouTube. That poor helmet crab.
How dare you?
The crap out of him. Yeah. So like that's the other thing too, is that it's so far into the game, we aren't going to reset for this anyways. But if that were the case, like it makes more sense too. And if it were RNG, that would change like how the speedrun was conducted. If it would change routes, if it would change like someone's even enjoyment of the speedrun, we would change that. But with, you know, maybe 4 runners playing at this level at any given time, it just didn't make sense to.
It's time.
It's time for Green's favorite part of the run, the Elder's Recess. You get to talk about this one. This is your favorite part. This is your baby.
Yeah. This section is just, it's all... So, the very first thing we're going to do is similar to the Mercer skip we did at the start of the run. The thing about the Admiral here, his radius works a little weird. The radius for him to force you to start slow walking is actually smaller than the radius for him to let you stop slow walking. So provided you don't get caught by his radius, you can actually pass him much sooner. So we're going to wait for him to get to a very specific position where we're going to be able to run past him and get off a ledge. And then we'll be able to sprint the entire rest of the way to the proper Elder's Recess. Like so. Had we not done that, we would be forced to slow walk this entire run we're doing, which already takes a long time.
Takes about a minute. Skipping all this saves about 45 seconds. It's huge.
Mm-hmm. And after this was discovered, there was actually still a world record done without it because the runner didn't know about the trick.
About halfway through that walk, you can start running again, but like it loses so much time. So we just do that instead. That's about the only like thing that's like a sequence break or that's like a glitch that we take advantage of.
Yep. So now we're in the Elder's Recess proper. We have 2 tasks we need to do. We need to collect Nergigante tracks, and we need to spot 3 monsters. Unlike the other Elders, Nergigante's tracks are static here. There are 2 spikes at each monster cutscene location. So we're going to route this in a way that we get these spikes and cutscenes as optimally as possible. This first cutscene we're going to view is Uragon. Uragon immediately roars after his cutscene, which, if you don't move or if you move incorrectly, will catch you out and make you stop moving for a bit. Interestingly, though, the cutscene places you right on the edge of the roar radius. So if you move backwards at all, the roar just doesn't affect you. like that. Now, the next one is Dodogama, and we're actually going to take advantage of how cutscenes work in this game. Regardless of where you enter a cutscene from, the place the cutscene ends you is always the same. So we're going to gather this first spike, and then we're going to dodge into the cutscene trigger, which is going to place us right next to the second spike. And we can just equip a ghillie mantle here, so Dodogama doesn't notice us.
Not noticed by Senpai. Sad.
Yeah.
We also unequip the ghillie mantle here because this cutscene will reset its timer, and it becomes available for us to use again, so we can leave this quest. Because the quest would take it off of us.
Yep.
Or the cutscene would take it off of us.
And we actually have done this out of order. You're not supposed to do the Elder Tracks until after you've finished this expedition and fought Nergigante. But if we do the other tracks first, it A, saves some menuing, and B, allows us to return from expedition directly from that menu rather than opening
dropping the
world
rock
map.
loses time.
And because we just discovered all of this
We're here to
area,
save the
we would have to wait for
frames.
our entire Elder's Recess map to fill in, which takes about 6 seconds. So we don't do that.
All right, and just like every time, we're going to go and talk to the commander, and the commander's going to be like, hey, go talk to the handler. And we're going to say, okay, we're going to the research base to do that. Because while we're there, we're also going to upgrade and equip our sword and shield. So for the rest of the run, we'll be using sword and shield instead. And it'll become evidently clear why. For most of these fights, we can lock the monsters out of fighting at all. With Switch Axe, that's not nearly as easy to do. Upgrade and equip our sword and shield
has a specific combo called Perfect Rush.
Instead. And it'll become
not only does it just do a lot of damage,
for most of these fights, we can
it
lock
times
the
out
monsters
very well
out
to allow us to
fighting at all. With Switch Axe, that's
lock
not
monsters
nearly
into
as
animations.
easy to do.
So, say a monster claggers, we can time out our Perfect Rush to land the finisher as a monster combo called Perfect Rush. Not only does it just do a lot of damage, in addition, it times out very well. Perfect Rush allows us to change how slow or fast the attack comes monsters into the game intends you to time your hits to deal optimal damage. We can, but if we have an opening we know isn't long enough to do the full combo, we can actually rush our attacks to do a little less damage, but get to the important finisher faster. In addition, Perfect Rush allows us to change how slow or fast the attack comes out. The game intends you to time your hits to deal optimal damage, but if we have an opening we know isn't long enough to do the full combo, we can actually rush our attacks to do a little less damage, but get to the important finisher faster.
Oh, whoops. There we go. I need to eat that might seed before I... Oh, whoops. There we go. I need to eat that might seed before I pick up that rock. Alright, so this opener is really cool. I'm just going to be quiet and do it.
So we got the Tenderize off on the head, which dropped us Thorn Pods, which we're going to use to wallbang again. Like we mentioned earlier, Thorn Pods let you get a KO. But a monster is actually immune to KO during a wallbang, so this will queue up the KO for us and still let us get the full wallbang duration. So we got the Tenderize off. So now we do one impact hit with our shield, and that gets us the KO, which we're going to use to wallbang again. And now you can see Perfect Rush. Like we mentioned earlier, Thorn Pods let you get a KO. But a monster is actually immune to KO during a wallbang, so this will queue up the KO for us and still let us get the full wallbang duration.
I'm going to pull him down anyways.
So now we do this area we're dragging with our shield down, and that actually has, and now you can see Perfect Rush. Environmental traps, both of which will do 5% damage.
A little early on that, but that's okay. I'm going to pull him down anyways.
So this area we're dragging Nergigante down to actually has 2 environmental traps, both of which will do 5% damage. Bagel is actually specifically not attacking at the start of these knockdowns because Perfect Rush is slightly faster than the knockdown duration. And if Nergigante has white spikes on his head, they'll actually break too soon if he hits them at all. these white spikes will gradually go throughout the hunt, and when you break them, he will topple. However, if you go too long without breaking them, they'll turn black. They take a lot less damage. Your weapon bounces off of them. We just generally don't like that. So here you can see a rushed PR. You'll notice he isn't flashing red until the very end. So it does less damage, but it comes out faster and lets him chain that Clagger back into a topple.
Unfortunate.
So Nergigante is trying to leave now, but we have a slinger ammo called Crystal Burst that'll flinch him and just force him to stay here.
Nice.
Very
Really
nice
good.
Nergigante.
That was really good. With Perfect Rush, it's not as simple as just do it, LMAO. There's a lot of micro adjustment and timing based on the number of head flails that the monster does. My positioning, like I can slightly control where it's aimed and where the finisher will land. And all of that we're micro adjusting the speed of it to make sure that we get the PR finisher after animations of control. It's not easy, right? It takes a lot of time. Every different type of animation has a different number of head staggers, head flails, like we call that's what we just call them, head flails. Some attacks have more than others, or some controls have more than others, and the claggers themselves can be kind of finicky too, depending on how you initiate the clagger. So all in all, that was really good. So there are not many hunts left, but Nergigante will give us our last upgrade. Hi, yes. Deco RNG? I think that was a Tenderizer. It was a level 2 in purple.
Yeah, that
Or it
had
was
to
a
be a
crit draw.
Tenderizer or a critical.
Or a crit, yeah, it could have been a critical, a crit draw. It was probably a crit draw, honestly, for this late in the early in the game. But I think it could be a crit draw or a Tenderizer. That's really funny though. Level 2 in purple is like Char Percent's dream. All right, so Green talked about this earlier, but we did all the track gathering out of sequence. The game expects us to do it here. So we're going to talk to like 3 NPCs. They're going to be like, hey, go find the tracks for these Elder Dragons. We're going to be like, okay, we did that already. And they're like, oh, okay, well, go and talk to somebody else and then come back and talk to us again. So the movement here is going to look a little weird, but it is just some nice like little downtime between all of what we've been doing. And then the last 3 fights are just Elder Dragon Rush, and then we have Xenojiva, our last fight. So we are getting near the end of this run. I'm going to do my last upgrade here. 1 to the right and then upgrade. 1 to the right and then upgrade. I even said it and I did it wrong. I'm just going to move them, honestly. I'm going to take the time loss to move it to the left once.
So we have thought about trying to route track gathering back into here, but I have done the math. The most optimal way, even if you do track gathering here, loses 1 input over doing it before this point. However, for new runners, it is actually suggested to do your track gathering here because you actually get a progress bar and don't have to manually keep track of how many you've gathered.
Though we have a guide for track gathering now. Woohoo! The first guide 4 years after the game came out. And that just following that, whoops, will guarantee that you know, will gather all the tracks. And if I talked to him one more time, I would have gotten the Vitality Mantle. Should have done it.
Copium.
Copium Vitality Mantle.
So here we're actually going to post the quest we're going to go on before we talk to the last person we need, because we can just depart on that quest whenever we're ready.
All right, so Kushala Daora. This fight either goes really well or really badly. I'm just gonna shut up and do it. But what we're gonna do is chain together control that is called a head topple. We're just gonna chain those over and over again. A monster's different body parts can have different thresholds for different types of control. Fortunately for us, the head only has one, and that's for knockdowns. The next monster, which this will be a lot more obvious on, the next monster, Teostra, has two forms of control on its head, a knockdown or a clagger. So this will all kind of make sense as we go. But for this one, all I want to do is just micro adjust my PRs so I get the finisher when he's getting up from the topple to get another topple like immediately after. The opener for this is kind of difficult because you have the claw uppercut. And I've been messing it up a bunch, so hopefully I get it. But I'm just going to be quiet now and do this. Very good.
So the claw uppercut gets a half tenderize. He hits the head twice here, and then once more to turn it towards the wall. And those 3 hits get the full tenderize off on the head.
Good. Really unfortunate, man. I can't believe I just didn't charge that enough. I'm going to try to get it back by sniping head hits, but it's not easy because he just does this. And then now he's in the air. I don't know why that didn't work.
It was a hit away before you flashed him, and then he was in the topple.
Here we go.
So Bagel is actually positioning so his attacks don't all go into the head.
Just bad head flail, man. Just push me outside of his head.
Reason for this positioning being, if everything goes into the head, we'll actually do too much damage and won't meet the threshold correctly.
Yeah, way over, but it's okay. I have extra flashes.
So now it is locked in AI of slowly trying to leave, which allows us... Oh, or it's dead.
Or it's dead.
That works too.
But yeah, it's going to keep trying to like limp and leave. Its AI can be kind of finicky. It's trying to transition up to the very top of this map, which is a minute away. It takes so long to get there. But it's trying to transition up there when it is low health like that. We can either get bad AI and it's already in the kind of the middle of the map and it just gets up and leaves, which is awful and scary. Or we can get good AI like we got and it tries to limp away, which gives us time to flash it. Flashing it out of the air, we can just do that indefinitely. In Master Rank, they actually removed that and monsters build up a resistance to flashing. But in High Rank, Nope, we can just do that indefinitely until it is dead, and I have enough flash pods. We don't talk about that last part. But next is Teostra. Teostra is we're gonna implement a similar strategy, timing PRs to get head staggers and head knockdowns, and claggers, right? All that stuff. But Teostra implements a new piece of RNG. It can have 2 different types of aura around it, a blast aura or a fire aura. Ideally, we get blast aura, but with that, it creates these little like dust clouds that can explode and kill us, which if we get hit by one, it hurts. Or fire mode, which it gets a aura on its body of flames, which deals a dot to us, right? A damage over time. It persistently hurts us, and also protects it from projectiles. So that kind of makes our opener a lot harder. The opener is really cool. We do something called a fast mount, which, as long as you can flinch a monster while you have mounted it, it will progress the mount to a finisher. We're going to use Crystal Burst to get those flinches instead of doing the normal backstabs. The backstabs just take too long, so instead we'll do it this way.
Teo, like I mentioned earlier, does actually alternate between head topples and claggers. The head topples will be done the same way as against Kushala with a falling shield bash and then into a PR. The thing about the claggers, though, while head topples has positioning to worry about and timing to worry about, the timing is relatively lenient. On a clagger, both the positioning and the timing are much tighter. That roar dodge is also not easy at all. So here, triple hit to force an enrage and get a half tenderize off. Back off the roar and get him out.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unfortunate. So it has Fire Aura right now, too, which is really unfortunate. And we also didn't get a finisher, so he's going to stagger immediately out of this. But we will get a head knockdown first. You know, maybe following some bad AI.
So the reason he was counting during that mount was so that he could Crystal Burst as soon as possible after the flinch ended. The reason that's so important is because in fire mode, if the Crystal Burst clips into the wing, it actually won't do anything. But if he times it out like that, the Crystal Burst will always hit the head.
Oh, gosh. I still got it, but I got hit. Walk up and slap it. Behind it. That's unfortunate. I'm gonna wait for it to pay or double tail. Yeah, that's not great. I don't like where I'm at all. So I'm actually just going to pull it back over here. We're next to, like, out of bounds. We're next to something that I call hole-in-one. Just like a fraction of a second too soon.
Yep.
Oh no, I'm gonna die. I'm alive. And we're back over here. Uh-oh, I dodged into that. I held back and I held too far back and not enough right, and I went backwards. Oh well. So that's why fire mode is also awful, because we get red bar health, and the moment we get hit once, we are like just not doing well. That's really unfortunate. I don't like karting, especially in runs like this, and karting also loses about a minute, especially here, because it takes so long to get back. But that fight was all over the place. It's not like that was a particularly good Teostra fight either. I lost the block a lot. I was right next to out of bounds, which doesn't help anyone. I was on top of the that like ledge. It's just a cacophony of errors, unfortunately, and that's just positioning, and it's really hard to control that because we can't control the AI that we get when we get a clagger or a knockdown. So the monster could move and, you know, put itself out of position for it can move and then, you know, flinch towards an area we don't want it at. If we do take too long, he's going to try to de-aggro, and he's going to leave this area, which we're getting really close to. He's probably... oh, we haven't even broken horns yet. He's really far from death. Oh, of course. Thank you, environmental ground effects. This is the other reason why we don't like this area. I can't believe that. I'm gonna die again. It's just gonna kill me again. Too early, but it's okay. Just want to heal.
That horn break does mean it's below 30% health.
Was not in a good position to back hop that. Oh my gosh, you are giving me such bad AI. Fire mode's also awful because he likes to do that tail attack a bunch. You know? All right, good. Whew, I almost had some words for him. But we're good. That happens, right? And we power through. I'd have been terrified to see what my pace was when that happened, because this run's felt pretty good going, you know, so far. Like, that's like our first major time loss, outside of getting 2 pattern 3s in tracks.
You only got one pattern 3 tracks.
Yeah, I only got one, that's right. I keep thinking old pattern C is a pattern 3. I am going to grab this, and I need to restock on potions. Man, where can I restock on potions? I guess I can do it there. I need potions, because I forgot to restock them earlier. Next is Valhazak, my favorite Elder Dragon to fight, because it's all ad-lib. And I am super greedy and love it. But Valhazak is an unscriptable fight, more or less.
Yep. He doesn't have any topples that we can consistently chain together. His main form of CC is chest flinches, but they don't last long enough to get enough damage in to chain together. And he's just rough.
It is a very difficult fight to do well.
And by far the most inconsistent in the run.
It can either be a low 6 or a low 5. Grabbing those really quick. Oh my goodness. Stop eating my inputs. Thank you. But we're going to need healing on this one, unfortunately. Valhazak has an aura around him that is called Effluvia. It's really stinky. So stinky it cuts our health in half. It's instantly. It just kind of happens. It's really hard to predict. it usually almost always happens. When we get part breaks. It lets out a really big cloud of effluvia, but he also just kind of like leaves it in the area, and getting hit by an attack from a body part that's covered in effluvia will also deal it. So we're going to do our best to avoid that and avoid getting effluvia. If we do, it's okay. We have an item called a nullberry that we've been gathering throughout the run. Really haven't been talking about it, just kind of grabbing them. But we have nullberries, and there's nullberries actually all over this area, like right there, that we're going to use to, help that. Quick little slinger burst there to break down those vines, and then we are into the quest. Clutch flying on to avoid that roar is just something that I do. It's just to get into this position to do a wall bang. That should be close enough. Ooh, he turned a little bit. All right, we're good. Yeah, I knew I was gonna miss that. Just reposition here. All right, there we go. Tenderizing Valhazak also drops Pierce Pods, which will be, once again, super useful. They're always useful.
And especially on Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield not only has one of the best slinger bursts in the game just in terms of how quickly you can do it, it also combos us directly into Perfect Rush, which we can use to actually close distance with Perfect Rush. So here's one of those chest flinches we were talking about.
Get out of the Gatorade.
So that water it's sitting in is not water, it's acid. So we don't want to be fighting it in there.
Unfortunate, he still got it off. All right, I gotta get him out of this because I can't fight him in there. So we're gonna pull him back up, and we would rather fight him up here anyways. Oh, hello. Again. Ooh, I didn't back off. And am I gonna get bonked? Bonked. Stuck inside. Help. Not getting great AI here. I'm getting a lot of bite attacks, which means I have to stop attacking, and a lot of like these like sprints. What I really need is like a clagger or an arm break. That works too. Oh no, the wall pushed him. That was a safe spot for me, but because of the slope there and the wall, I just kind of got pushed back. Oh, I did not want to turn that. Okay.
I would have been so mad had that actually worked.
I was trying to cancel it, and I accidentally rushed it instead.
Oh.
Man, I am not back hopping today. So that was a leg break.
Yeah.
Which is nice for us. What I really need right now is a clagger so I can get more Pierce
The
Pod.
input to back hop to start a PR is actually nearly identical to the input to do an attack called a guard slash, which is the worst attack Sword and Shield has.
Man, I do get to fight it on this ledge today. No. Slopes. Oh, please. Oh, no. haven't been getting a lot of opportunities to use my demon powder either, which is probably why we're losing a bunch of time here. I rolled that? Hello? I don't even know how I did that.
Valhazak has one of the tightest roars to iframe in the game.
Oi! Hit and run! Call the police! Alright, so getting a zero transition Valhazak, really difficult, and I wasn't getting good AI to get one. But it is low health coming here, though I only saw one pod. I just want to make sure I drop this rock on top of it. And look, it's dead. Man, that was gonna be... Oh, if I didn't get so bullied there towards the middle. Because I was fighting it in, like, such bad areas. But, I mean, that was still really good. That's gonna be a low 6 for sure. I just want to make sure I grab some might seeds here because we're going into our last hunt. Woo! The last one. We're doing it. I don't even know what the timer looks like right now, but you know, I don't want to ask. I don't need that since I only have 5 there. But the might seeds are going to come in a really big gonna come in handy. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. 601. Cool. So close to sub 6. That was really good. A lot of like big time saves on that quest comes mostly from RNG. So it's really hard to kind of just like do that quickly. Because, you know, getting good blast procs, getting a lot of claggers, getting a lot of chest staggers, getting your arm breaks during actual knockdowns, like all of that stuff is RNG. Even the small monsters in that area, Gyros, if I have Valhazak in the right spot, can paralyze Valhazak, which is another PR window. So like it's all RNG, that entire fight. 6 is the goal. Low 6, sub 6 is like the dream. All right. Once again, if we're gonna do anything in a hub, we're gonna do it in the research base for the last time, and we get to bring our cat for the last hunt. He's been doing such a good job just hanging out and supporting us. He gets to come with us this time. And like we talked about earlier, we gave it a poison weapon to inflict poison status on this monster. Poison is exactly what it is in most other games, right? It is a damage over time. It's fixed damage. It just happens gradually over time. It can't kill the monster, I don't think. But it can deal a lot of its health. Like, what is it? 5%? 6%? It's huge.
On Xeno, it's a little over 5% per trigger, and we get 2 triggers.
Yeah. So really quick eat here. Didn't get a health boost. Cool. This fight is a lot of RNG too, but we're going to try to remove all of that by keeping it in what we call a hand lock, similar to like Kushala Daorda. 1, 2, 3. We are going to deal enough damage to its leg over and over and over again to make sure that it can't move. No runny, good. And the cat just needs to be with me. Come on, cat, come over here. So I'm trying to bait AI right now. Having my back turned to it and running away baits the runny's attack. We are getting just really unlucky here. There we go. Claw uppercut into a tenderize is going to put our tenderize our leg, and then now we are going to be attacking this leg until we get a hand stagger. There's a lot of RNG associated with this. How Xeno chooses to attack us is a really big part of that. But the hand lock has begun.
You did get a blast proc, so this first one will break. Blast only matters on the first hand topple because it was a proper break that time. Before the break, the hand actually takes slightly less damage.
No.
So this that big slam has a tremor radius that actually lasts too long to iframe, but super armor on pull uppercut is actually long enough to dodge it.
Nice.
Really,
That was a
very nice
near
phase.
flawless. Near flawless, other than the opener. Near flawless. Feels good to do that. So during that, throughout this entire fight, we're going to be maintaining 3 like buffs at all times: the tenderize on that left arm, white sharpness on our weapon, and our might seed buff. We need all 3 of those things to keep the hand lock, and the moment we lose one, we have to, you know, get it back. Man, I wish. Oh, I didn't time it. I rushed it. It's okay. It'll be like a hit away. Oh, more than a hit away. And we're going to keep getting Runny's AI. Let's go. This is the worst AI. We can't do anything during it. Alright, so I like overrode it. Thank you for roaring. Whew. Man. The crystals on the ground just kind of messed up my positioning a bit. This is honestly fine. We can sharpen here, and then I can try to do the JalBagel special. Oh, wait, I can tenderize. Uh-oh. Does this kill me? I'm alive. Does this kill me? I'm alive. Oh, are you kidding me? The rock pushed him slightly out of the way. This is unfortunate. Just getting this hand lock back is the hardest thing to do because you just have to fight AI the entire time. But we're good now.
Time ends when this guy dies, which is coming up soon.
Kill me.
So Xeno is now in what's called super critical state, so we can't actually get hand topples right now. So now we're Bagel just tenderized to get a piercing pod so he can get chest topples.
He's dead.
And time.
That's it. Whew. All right. That wasn't a great Xeno. Oh, 627. Don't look at that. I mean, I'd be fine with that in a run, honestly. This fight is so hard to keep hand topples on. It's all positioning, micro adjustment, because the way you fall off of the monster after a PR, where he lands, the next AI that comes out, even if he's just like slightly brushing against one of these crystals, he can just shift, you know, so many units over. Man, but that was yeah, that was it. That's Monster Hunter World. There is actually more speedrun after this. There's a whole other section of the game that's nearly twice as long as this. But thank you guys so very much for joining me and Green on this adventure. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for having us back here at Game Over Cancer. I always enjoy running here, so thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. JalBagel and Greenspeed, that was great. We really appreciate what you guys are doing here. So everybody else, get ready because we have another run coming up right away. It's going to be Castlevania Dracula X. This is going to be run by Kenshi Trek, and it's going to be the bad ending. The estimated 19 minutes. I believe it's our shortest run we have. So stay tuned because this might get a little crazy.